Good morning, everybody, and welcome to today's webinar. This webinar is part of the Australian Federal Government's Digital Solutions Program and is brought to you across Queensland, Western Australia and Northern Territory by Business Station and Treaty Business Consulting. My name's Kerrie and today we're going to be talking about traffic generation tips for your small business website. A little bit of webinar housekeeping for you. You will notice that your microphones are muted, and that is for the comfort of the recording. But if you have any questions, I do like these sessions to be interactive. Please pop them into the chat feature and I'll get those questions answered for you as we go through today. And of course, everybody who registers will receive a copy of the recording today. Now, I am going to apologise in advance if there is a little bit of lagging on my internet today. Like many around the country, I'm dealing with homeschooling at the moment as well. So there's a lot of us here. And so if there's any issues, I do apologise for that. But hopefully things will go according to plan. For those of you who don't know me, as I said, my name is Kerrie and I'm the co-founder of Altitude Business Solutions. And we've been with the Digital Solutions Program now for 2.5 years. And we really enjoy bringing these sessions to small business owners across Australia. We believe that digital education is really important, not only for the benefit of your business, but for leading into the future, because I'm sure when I get to retirement age, everything is going to be digital. So I need to know my stuff. So we're a really firm believer in this program. Now, you're in the right place today if you're ready to learn some ways that you can increase your website traffic and get more people possibly buying your products and services today. So most of you here today may already have a website, or possibly you might be considering building a website. If that's the case, if you're new to not having a website, you're looking to build a website, this is a great webinar for you because it's going to give you tips on what you should be doing when you build your website. But many of you may actually already have a website, and you probably had really great ambitions and visions of like thousands of people coming to your site every week, or you feel like there should have been for either the effort that you put into building it yourself or for what you paid somebody else to build it for you. You may have even dreamed of, I'm going to write a blog post and, that's going to be shared by hundreds of thousands of people and I'm going to go viral. But in short, you build a website that's so that people, can go there and see your services. But you probably have an understanding now that getting website traffic isn't as easy as you probably thought it was. And maybe you get 100 people per week. Maybe you get 100 people per month. Maybe you get less than that. So in order to get people to your website, there's a few things that you need. You need to have a proven strategy to get more website traffic. You're going to need some tested methods for generating a steady stream of website visitors. And you're going to need to know some tactics and hacks for getting people to visit your site and engage with your content. In this webinar today, I'm going to be going through 10 strategies for getting more people to your website. Some of them you would have heard of before, and others will be new to you. Each of these strategies, when used on their own, can drive traffic to your website, absolutely. But when you combine them together and you use all of them, you're going to see fantastic results. What I don't want from today's session is I don't want you to get overwhelmed. I don't want you to think, oh, now I've got to implement these 10 things on my website. I just want you, it's like eating an elephant, one bite at a time. Just take one idea, make sure it is implemented properly, and then move on to the next one. So one bite at a time is how you'll get through it if you're looking at making changes on your website. As I'm going through these first couple of tips, guys, it'd be really great if you guys could pop into the chat feature for me, just exactly what it is that your business does. That way, when I'm referring to any examples throughout today's session, I can sort of incorporate your businesses for those that are here live with me today. Now, strategy number one I'm going to talk to you about is website optimization. And this may be something that you've heard of before, or it may be you think, oh, I had a website builder build my website and they said that they had optimized my website. But I really just want to go through and explain what that means. Now, when it comes to talking about website optimization, I like to start out with the customer in mind. You've probably never really thought about it before, but after years of conditioning as consumers on the internet, we actually have a set of website expectations, and these all actually link in with optimization. So what this means is, when we go to a website, regardless of whose business it is or what the business is, there's certain things that we're expecting to see, okay? I mean, granted, over those years, the structure of websites has absolutely changed, but there are some things that we're just naturally expecting to see. So we're wanting to see things like how you can help, how we can be helped, how the customer can be helped, exactly who you are, what your offer and what your services are. We're also expecting to see some testimonials and reviews on there as well. We're wanting to know details like, if I'm interested, how can I contact you? And I'm probably going to want to see some frequently asked questions. Now, a lot of people see this kind of stuff as content on your website, and yes, it is. But it comes into optimization because as the consumer, we're expecting to see these things now. So your website needs to you need to make sure that you've got your business name and your address on it, who you are, what you offer, some testimonials and reviews from some past clients or people that have used the product, how we can contact you or purchase, and maybe some frequently asked questions just to cure my fears and uncertainties around the product or service. So that all forms part of your optimization. With the introduction of mobile phones and tablets, websites have changed. I love this little picture of the butterfly because it's exactly what's happened with websites. Remember back in the day, we only used to access websites on a laptop, right? So we never had our little mobile phones in our pocket, our little computers. So we were always going to websites on a full desktop, and we loved those websites to have multiple pages. We still had an infatuation with clicking everywhere. So if that website had 27 pages and you had to click through 5 pages, you were fine with that to get you to where you were wanting. And the more pages a website had, you naturally thought, gee, these people must be really successful. They've got a 27-page website with all the information on it. Well, how things have changed. It was the more pages that you had, the better your website was. Well, that's kind of what people assumed, right? But today we're accessing your website more than likely on a device that fits into the palm of your hand. And we want the information that we want in as little clicks as possible. I mean, I don't know about you, but when you're on your mobile phone and you're trying to find information on a website and you've got to go up to those 3 little lines in the top right or left-hand corner to take you to another page, I nearly get annoyed. I'm like, if I have to do this on page 1 just to find out what services you offer, then this is not really great for me. So we need to be able to get people to where they want to go in as little clicks as possible. They get frustrated when they have to go through a menu and actually go through multiple pages. So websites have evolved simply because of the introduction of mobile phones and tablets. So that's one, I class this all as optimizing your website, okay? So making sure that the customer can see what it is that you do and get to wherever they need to be in as little clicks as possible. Speed is another issue as well. With the introduction of mobile phones and having everything at our fingertips, speed has become increasingly important because we're just impatient nowadays. If your site takes too long to load, then we're out of there. Would you agree? We've all been on one of those websites where what's even worse is when those websites actually have the little revolving circle that goes loading, and it goes, a lot of WordPress websites will have this, and it goes round and round and round. I literally watch that circle go around once, and if it's not up, I'm out. And I don't realize I'm doing it. If I have to go back there because it's the only website I can get the information from, I get really frustrated. So speed is really important, and this all forms part of the optimization of your website as well. This can be because you have images on your site that are taking up a lot of room, so they're taking a long time to load. It's directly having an impact on your website. If you do have this as a problem, because this is one of the biggest ones, the images, I suggest do a Google search for compressing images for websites, and there's plenty of free tools for you to use where you can upload a photo and it will compress the photo and actually give it back to you. You can download it in the new format and upload it to your website. So we've actually just gone through, or we've nearly gone through, we've started to go through and finalize this on our own website, because when we first started, we only had 5 pages. Each of those 5 pages had 1 or 2 images on it, and it really didn't matter what the size of the image was. It was all good. But 2.5 years down the track, when we've now got, 37 blogs with content, videos, information on it, everything was starting to become a little bit laggy and slow. So we sort of kicked ourselves for not compressing in the first place, but we are going back into all of those pages and making sure that those images are compressed so that they load a lot quicker. So website optimization is really important. The other thing that is important, which I don't actually have in my notes or have a picture for, but is making sure that your page titles on your page and your page descriptions of all of your pages are filled out. This is really important for SEO, which we'll talk a little bit more about later. But those things really help with the optimization of your page, making sure that it loads with the right information on it, that your images aren't too small, that I can get to where I need to go quickly. Clickable links as well, giving you more and more information here. Clickable links. So if you've got a mobile phone number on your website and I can't click on that mobile phone number and call it, you are going to frustrate the hell out of me. I'm on my mobile phone. I don't have a pen. I can't write everything down. I'm trying to memorize your phone number so that I can give you a call. Every single website platform, whether you are using a WordPress, a Weebly, a Wix, a GoDaddy, they all have this feature where you can just highlight that number and turn it into a clickable link, which means when they click on it, it will automatically start dialing your number. If I click on your email address, I want it to automatically open up my email. See where I'm going here? So we want to optimize it to make it easy for someone to make a purchase for us. So there is my tips on website optimization. Tip number 2 that I'm going to talk to you about is blog writing. And this may be something that you've considered, and I can see some of you in the room have probably also been to my Supercharge Your Blogging webinar, workshop, which I normally run about every 8 weeks. So if you haven't looked at that and you're looking at getting into blogging, I really suggest that you come along to that workshop. But creating amazing share-worthy content is hands down one of the best way to get traffic to your website. I mean, not only does it get traffic to your website, but it really cements you as an expert in your field. It's often people will consider doing a blog up front and then they actually don't go ahead and do it. And it's not, once you know the structure and you know how to do it, it's not as hard as it all seems. And you can use that information in so many different places, and it shows people that you know what you are talking about. There'll be some of you on here today who aren't interested in blogging at all, and that's okay. Well, it's kind of okay. I really think it's a waste of time to have a website that just sells and doesn't give any type of information. If you don't want to write blogs yourself, you can outsource them, absolutely. But people crave information these days, and if they can't get it from you, they're going to end up on Google, Googling somebody else. I had a really interesting task this week. I've just started working with a new client. Well, actually around about 4 weeks ago, I started working with this client, but this week we're actually just got to their website. It was yesterday. And it's a Shopify website and they're selling products online, and their product pages were literally just, here's the product, this is what colors it comes in, and go ahead and buy. There was actually no additional information on there. So if you are somebody that is selling a product online, take advantage of those product pages. Give people the unique selling point of that product. Put as much information on there as you possibly can. And it could very well be, I can see their home decor for nurseries and kids' rooms. So let's say maybe it was a table and chair setting for a kids' room. We all know that they're very cute. What is the unique selling point of your table and chair set that you're trying to sell? So make sure you use those product pages to get all of that information in there. So what is the unique selling point and why should that be important to me? So the unique selling point of our kids' chairs and tables is that they're made out of recyclable plastics, which means when you purchase from us, you're not having an impact on the environment, and they can be recycled when you no longer want to have the product. So for somebody that's possibly really into recycling, that could be important for me. But it could also be that, yes, they're great at recycling, but the other great thing is for the safety of your child, the plastic doesn't actually splinter, which means little ones' hands are not going to end up with cuts on them. So what is the unique selling point of that product, and why should it matter to me? And in that example there, it should matter because you're having an impact on the environment and it's a safety issue for your child, like it's a really great safety feature. So you see how that's kind of selling the product. Again, I may have already made up my mind that I'm going to buy that product, but just to get me to actually press yes and put that product into my cart and buy it, that might be the information that pushes me over the edge. So just a little tip there for you if you sell a product. Now, I can hear some of you saying, why are blogs so important? Well, the more information and words that you have on your website, the bigger chance you actually have of coming up in search results on Google. So can you pay Google to be on page number 1? Yes, you can. They're called ads. I think we've all seen them. So if you search for a particular topic, and the first 3 lines that come up, it actually says advertise, or it might say ad or sponsorship or something underneath them. But you know what? As consumers, we know that they're ads. We know that if we scroll down the page, we're actually going to get the organic results of the businesses that we're looking for or the product that we're looking for. So we kind of know that those ones up the top are advertising. So if you can have more information the more information that you can have on your website, the more words that you can have on your website, that's why putting more words on your product pages and services pages makes a big difference, the better you will show up in search results. So what do you write about? Many people spend hours thinking about this, but really it's as simple as, what are your customers' problems? If you're not sure what problem your business solves for your customer, then we need to have another whole conversation, because that's the only reason that your business exists. Your business exists because your client has a problem that you can solve. So you need to be writing blogs on those topics. So think about all the questions that you could possibly ask, or that your clients could possibly ask. Now, there is a website that you can use that might be able to help this out, and it's called Help You Out. It's called Answer the Public. I'm just going to put it in the chat. answerthepublic.com. And this is where you can actually enter in a topic. So I noticed there earlier, Jacqueline, bookkeeping. So you can type in bookkeeping and you will see all the questions that anybody is asking on Google about bookkeeping. And they can form really great blog post topics. Now, guys, I want you to remember that you guys are experts in your field. Okay, you know what you're talking about. So when you sit down to write a blog, it doesn't need to be a university paper. It just needs to be written like you're having a conversation with me. So if I'm saying, look, I've got a lot of trouble with my bookkeeping and I'm really wanting to know what's the best software platform to use. In fact, this could be a really good one for you, Jacqueline. I'm currently looking at getting my business into a different bookkeeping software. We've been using one that's attached to our CRM system for a number of years, and we're looking at moving across that to something that's a little bit easier for my accountant in the next financial year. So someone writing a blog about what is the best platform for my business would be really handy. So that's, something that you can write about as well, as to give you an idea. Now, when it comes to blog titles, Answer the Public is really good because, as I said, it gives you all of the questions that people are asking about on Google about your particular topic. And I think from memory, you get maybe 2 or 3 free searches a day with Answer the Public without having to sign up for an account. So that's really a really good program that you can use as well. Blogs work really well as a traffic source because once the information is there and published, it's there forever. And I mean, we've got one blog that we've actually just given a refresh to, but we wrote that blog in 2019 and it is still the highest ranking blog on our website. So it brings in a lot of traffic to our website. So that's what's great about blogs. I mean, once they're there for good. Tip number 3 I'm going to talk to you about is repurposing your content. The more different platforms that you can be on, the better will help with actually getting people to your website as well, believe it or not. So it's so key when generating traffic to be using things like social media, email, and all of that kind of stuff. But it keeps you from this kind of, what I'm going to show you now is a bit of a strategy for a blog, really. So those of you who aren't interested in writing blogs, this probably tip is not that great for you. But if you're interested in writing a blog, I want to show you how you can turn it into lots of different content so that you're not constantly feeling like you're stuck in that wheel of creating content, particularly for social media if you're on your social media platforms, okay? So I want to show you that one well-written blog can really save you a lot of time. So as we go through this, people often ask us how we get our content for our social media. So this is the exact plan pretty much that we follow. And it's actually evolved from here, but I don't want to overwhelm you today as well. So basically we start off by writing a blog. You can see the blog there in the middle. And what we do is we share that blog across to our Facebook page and we send it out via our email as well. So if you are already on my email list or our email list, you will see you get an email from us every fortnight on a different topic. And that is that blog that we are writing. So we've currently got 37, I think, blogs on our website. So that's a very basic way straight away that you can do it. So you've got one piece of content, which is the blog, and then we're popping it onto Facebook and we're sending out an email. So straight away, you can see if you did that once a month, you're sending an email to all of your customers, and also you're putting it onto your social media as well. However, when we write our blogs, we have a bit of a structure, and that structure is that we always write a blog that has 3 main points in it, approximately 3 main points. Sometimes they have 5, but we really only use 3 of them. So the blog post might be, and I'm going to go back to my own world because that makes sense for me. The blog post might be about using email to increase your sales. Or starting an email list, make it simple, starting an email list. So part of that would be 3 points from starting an email. So my top 3 points for starting an email list, and it would have the 3 points there. I then write that blog. However, rather than just sharing the blog onto Facebook and sharing the blog onto email, I take the information from within that blog, which is the 3 points, and I actually turn it into 3 posts. So if we go over to Facebook here, post number 1 would be tip number 1, post number 2 would be tip number 2, and post number 3 would be tip number 3. So you're seeing the pattern here? So basically from that one blog, I have created 3 social media posts. And you can see, I've then decided, well, I'm going to put those same posts onto Instagram, and I'm also going to put them across onto LinkedIn. So it looks like a mountain worth of content, but really, it's all come from this one blog. It's one blog with 3 tips, nice and easy. We've just gotten onto TikTok. So we will now do 3 different videos and put that across onto TikTok as well. And also we're just starting to do some long format videos and putting them over onto YouTube on this subject as well. Now, this is obviously the ultimate kind of plan, and you can keep going with this. There are other things that you can do. But even if you were just to take away the YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and LinkedIn and just stick to the email and Facebook, by writing one blog with 3 points, you've got 3 pieces of content for your social media, and you've got 3 emails that you can send out to your database. Now, that your database can be full of customers that you have served, or it could also be part of customers that you haven't yet served. You know, I always have a welcome email that goes out, and that welcome email has a, I think it's like 60 social media post ideas attached. So whenever I'm out and about and I'm meeting someone, I'll say to them, if I'm introducing myself at a networking event, I'll always say, I've got an email that I can send you, which is giving you tips on social media posts, if that's going to help. Would it be okay if I sent that to you? No one ever says no to me. They go straight into my database. The first email they'll get is those tips on posting to your social media. So that's just how an example I wanted to show you of how far a blog can go and where it can give you so many different pieces of content. Now, the key is having a lot of people say, well, this is a lot of work and this is what you do and how much time does all of this take? And what I've learned is that by following this process, you're working smarter, not harder. So I sit down and I spend the time to write one blog. And if I'm honest with you, that probably takes me about an hour and a half. I'm not great at spelling and grammar, so I have to, run it through Grammarly or something just to make sure that it's all good. And I like to use wording that I understand. So I'm not big on using a thesaurus. I know a lot of people go, I'm going to put some impressive words in there, but I don't do that. My blogs are just written from me in the way that I talk, and that way it's very natural for me. But to write a decent blog that I'm happy with, it probably takes me an hour and a half. My sister would tell you that I could do it in half an hour. Because I normally write the blog in half an hour and then probably spend an hour picking it to pieces and making sure that it looks a lot better than when I started. But she would say I could probably just run with the original one. So that takes me an hour and a half, let's say, to write the blog. I have a system set up which makes it easier for me to create these Facebook posts. I've created templates so that I will just go in and have, tip number 1, tip number 2, tip number 3. So that's very easy. And the same with my emails. I use MailChimp for my emails. So I've got a template set up, so it's easy to go email 1, 2, 3 and have it set up. So I do work smarter, not harder. If I was to do this process from beginning to end, I could safely say that I could get all of that done probably in 2.5 hours. And that includes the scheduling of the Facebook or social media posts and the scheduling of the emails, because with my paid subscription with MailChimp, I can actually plan these emails going out. So you can see how much easier that is as a process when it comes to blogging, getting the most amount out of your blogging. Now, of course, what does all of this do? Well, it gets people to your website because the blogs are actually on your website. So the more places that you can share it, whether it's via email, whether it's via your Facebook page, your Instagram or your LinkedIn, you're trying to create the traffic to get to your website. It's really important that you get traffic to your website because it helps with your search engine optimization and really cements the fact for Google that you're an expert in your field and you know what you are talking about. Traffic strategy number 4, I'm conscious of the time. I've got 10 to get through and we're halfway through. So traffic strategy number 4 is blog post commenting. Now, after I actually run this webinar and same with my blogging webinar, I do find that I get a lot of people going onto my blogs and giving them some comments, and I do return the comments, and I'll explain what I mean by that. So if you have a strategy where you go and look up some blogs and you make a comment, it can get people to your website. So have you ever gone to Google, as an example, and asked a question and a really good article has come up? And you've gone, that really answered the information for me. That was really good. If you scroll to the bottom of that blog, there is nearly always a comment section. Now, the great thing about this comment section is that it normally gives you a couple of options. So it gives you the option to be able to put your name in. And a lot of people are silly and they just leave all this sort of stuff blank. But I go on there and my name is Altitude Business Solutions. And then it asked me for my website. So I put my website in. Now, none of this actually shows on the blog, but it is given to the owner of the blog, okay? The information does come through. And then I put in my comments like, thanks so much, was looking for information on this subject and found this article to be a really round-worthy article, or, gave me all the information that I needed. I can nearly guarantee you 99% of the time, the owner of that blog ends up on my website and commenting on one of my blogs. Now, why is blog commenting important? Well, it's important for you to get blog comments because the more comments you have on your blog, Google sees that and goes, oh, well, everyone's commenting on this particular blog, it must be good. So you rank higher in the search results on that particular subjects. So many people will read your blog and not write a comment at all. But if you're looking for a strategy to get people to your website, if you were to say, you know what, I'm going to just comment on 5 blogs a day, 5 days of the week. It's going to take me 15 minutes to go through, find a few blogs that I think are awesome and come back. That's it, done. People will end up on your website reading your blogs and they'll leave a comment as well. It's kind of like a courtesy thing. It's nearly just kind of what they do. So blog commenting can be really good. Now, of course, this helps with getting traffic to your website I was talking to you about, but it really builds trust, particularly with Google. But if others see that blog post and see that you're having comments on that, then it really shows the people visiting your website that you know what you're talking about. So let's say if I was to, maybe Beth, go to your website and you had a blog, you know, if how many of us are there? There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of us on here today. If we all said we're all going to visit each other's website over the next 24 hours and comment on one blog, that would be 6 comments on blogs that would all help with our Google ranking. So it really is possible to build that trust with Google, which is what we're trying to do. Tip number 5, which I've already spoken about a little bit, is sharing your content on social media. The one thing to remember, as I said, we touched on this a little bit earlier, but the one thing to remember is that social media is what your potential clients are. I hear so many business owners going, yeah, I'm just not a social media person. It's not about you. It's not about you at all. I want to be very clear about this point. It is about your customer. And if there is a possibility that even 2% of your possible clients are on TikTok, then you need to be on TikTok. It's just about how do we get you on there comfortably so that you can get a little bit of reach out of it and try and, you know, get some of those customers on board for you. So when you're thinking about social media, just remember that it's not about you. It is about the person sitting in their lounge room, scrolling through their social media platform and seeing you. It is about them. So social media is not about where you feel comfortable or where you think your business belongs. Probably the best thing that I ever heard was I had a lawyer say to me, oh yeah, but as a lawyer, I really shouldn't be on social media. And I said, why not? Because that's where I am. And what if I need a lawyer? I need to know that you're there. So it's a really interesting topic to discuss social media. So if you've written a 3-point blog and you share your point number 1 on your business Facebook page with a link to the article for them to read more, of course, that's going to get them to your website, which is going to increase your traffic, but that doesn't have to be the end of the journey there. I'm using Facebook as an example because Facebook has group posting that you can do as well. So you can share that same post into a number of groups that you might be a part of, and you are accessing more people again. So it's not just about posting it to social media and walking away. And of course, that can be all it is if that's what you want it to be. But you can actually go further and go, I'm going to share this into a few community groups that I know this information would be helpful for. When I think about this as a bookkeeper, Jacqueline, you might write a blog article about the importance of getting everything together for the end of the financial year. And this could be a blog that you update every year, because I know particularly in the accounting and bookkeeping world, when it comes to the ATO, things change. So when there's a change to the ATO, towards the end of that financial year, just a reminder to everybody out there to have your books organised. If you need someone to have a look over your books, I can help you with that, but we are coming into the end of the financial year and you want to get your return as soon as possible. So that kind of post popping up in the, Beanley and Surrounds community group is going to be something that I'm going to appreciate seeing, and others will as well. So this activity on your Facebook page is great, but the goal is to get them to your website. I always say the goal is to get them off social media and onto your website, absolutely. particularly when it comes to Facebook and Instagram these days. You know, they are dramatically decreasing the reach that those platforms are getting. So don't spend too much time on there. Don't spend too much on there. You know, get them onto platforms where things are actually coming together. YouTube and TikTok are really big at the moment. That's where we're kind of directing people, and getting them back to your website is really important. Tip number 6 is to build your email list. And I do a webinar on this as well, which is 30 days to building your email list. So I think that's coming up in the next couple of weeks. So look out for that one as well. But your email list can be a great source of traffic to your website. When you send out information on how to cure your customers' fears, uncertainties, and doubts, or problems that they're having, you should only put a small amount of information in the email, and the rest should be available on your website. This really encourages them to head to your website. So what we do is we put the first paragraph of the blog in our email, and then it will say, click here to read more. Now, this email could be advertising an event that you might be running, where they have to go to your website to purchase tickets. It could be to a webinar, just like you're seeing today. Having live webinars can be really interesting. Do you know, it was really, really interesting. I'm just going to quickly share this story. I'm a listener. I'm not a participator, but I am a listener on Clubhouse. For those of you that know that social media platform, think live podcasts. Okay, so you can jump on there now, and there'll be someone live talking about a particular subject, and you can listen in, and you can put your hand up and ask questions and things like that. So I was on there. A very successful LinkedIn expert was actually speaking. So I thought, I'll have a listen to this. This is, you know, in my world, in my realm. He had some fantastic things to say. He actually called people up from the audience to ask questions. Now, when I had a look at that, he was being very smart. He was actually live on Clubhouse, which is audio, but he was also live streaming on Facebook and YouTube at the same time. So he was saying, I can see we've got a few on YouTube. I can see we've got a few on Facebook. And I can see we've got a few on Clubhouse. So what's really interesting about that is that he was sort of running through the numbers, and there actually was only about 7 of us in total listening. And you and I would probably go, well, that's not really worth our while doing if we're only going to hit 7 people. But at the end of the day, you know, the information that he was giving was fantastic. He gave a link to a website, which of course we all went to. And at the bottom of that website was, you know, you could attend our training session and learn all about this yourself. And it was a $250 training session. He was online for half an hour. So if you think about that in the grand scheme of things, if there were 6 people listening, he really only had to get 1 to make $250 in an hour. So don't be concerned if you're going to go live or you're going to run webinars or events like I'm suggesting here. If only 2 people turn up, you're going to give those 2 people fantastic service and fantastic information. And a lot of the clients that I deal with, when they do run these events, they have 2 people turn up, and those 2 people do business with them. And they go, look, only 2 people turned up, but 2 people did business with me, and it was worth my while doing it. So don't be scared by the numbers if you're looking at running events or having online webinars. Just, you know, go through with it and make sure that you do have the event, and you will find the customers come in. So yes, what was I talking about? I've lost my trail of thought here. Yes, your emails could be advertising an event. Absolutely. That's what I was saying. It could be your blog. Yes. So you think about this, maybe you're going to have 1 event a month, 1 blog a month. It could be information on a new product or service that you're offering. The aim is to always get them back to your website when they can find all the information. Now let's just think about this for a second. I've sort of done this in the wrong order, and I may change it for the next time. But if I was to write a 3-point blog on a particular subject, and then also run some sort of live webinar event on that subject, and tie it together with a new service that I'm offering, see how all of this is coming together? It can really just be writing a blog is the thing that starts the whole lot off. So if every blog that you write refers back to a service that you offer, then that's how it can help you increase your sales. So write a blog, host a webinar or event on that blog, and link it to a new service, and that would be the ideal way to do that. Tip number 7 is backlinks. Now, you may have heard of backlinks before and you're like, I have no idea what this is. So let me explain it a little bit. Backlinks is where another website links to your websites through one of their own articles, as an example. So I'm just going to give you an example, and I'm just going to say that you were writing an article for your website, and in it, you mentioned Facebook pages, right? You've done your research on Facebook pages, and during that research, you've actually come across an article that I've written. And so you've decided to reference that article. So you would write something like this. Kerrie Savran from Altitude Business Solutions believe that businesses without a Facebook page aren't serious about marketing on social media. This comment would then hyperlink back to the exact article that you are referring to. And that, my friends, is called a backlink. So that is where another website is linking through to my website. Google loves this. Do you know why? Backlinks aren't easy to get. They're not easy to get at all. Because you either need to reach out to people and ask for them, or they need to happen naturally. So if we were to decide here today that the 6 of us live on this webinar, we're going to write an article and make it possible for us to backlink to, one other person's website referring to another article, then obviously that would be a huge help to our businesses. But again, Google loves it. They see these backlinks, they can see all this, they can see that one person is sending somebody else to another website. It gives Google confidence that that website is reputable, and it also gives them confidence that that website is something that they want to send people to. So it puts you higher in the searches. Now, one way that you can really get around this is by being a guest blog writer on somebody else's website. So this is where you write an article on a website that has links to your own website. So essentially you're creating your own backlinks. But let's say, who can I pick here? Let's see, Creative Art Agency. Oh, you'll have to explain more about that to me. But you could be writing some information on creative art and the best way to maybe get exposure on that creative art. And it may be that you recommend that people use social media and Facebook. So you might come to me and say, hey, could you write an article for me on how people wanting to promote their creative art could use Facebook to do so. I'd love to put that on my website, and you're quite welcome to have a backlink to your website. You don't have to write the blog. It's giving information to your clientele that on a blog that you don't have to write. And B, it gets them a backlink, so they're always very happy to do so. So being a guest writer on somebody else's website can be a really great way of creating your own natural backlink. Not only is important who links to your website, but it's important the websites that you link to. So when you're thinking about linking to a website, let's say, I'm just going to give an example of a stationery shop. That's what this picture reminds me of. And let's say you wrote an article on the importance of placing your end of financial year stationery order. Okay. So Jacqueline, this would be, if you had a client who was selling stationery, maybe they could write a blog for you on the importance of placing your end of year stationery order. In this article, they might write this article, and on that article, they might link to a reputable website. Now, what I'm talking about here is they might be linking through to the ATO. Now, the ATO has hundreds of articles on their website. As far as Google's concerned, they have a great reputation. They're very reputable. So when you say it's important to make sure that you place your stationery order so you get your expenses in before the end of the financial year, if you're unsure on what you can and can't claim, please click this link and head to an article by the ATO, which explains it in depth. But we always recommend checking with your accountant as well. And then you would put a link into the ATO. Again, Google sees that. Your website is sending somebody to a reputable website, so it gives them confidence on your website. It's kind of like a referral system. It works very well. You know how if you're looking for a new product or service and you Google it, you're like, yeah, that's okay. But if your best friend says, oh, mate, you've got to use the tire place down the road. Bob was amazing. He'll look after you. You don't even look Bob up. You just go there and you go, well, my friend told me that that's what we, that she came here and had a great experience. So you don't need that second person you don't need to double check when somebody tells you it's good. Google really believes the whole don't tell me, show me. So you can bang on all you like on your website about how amazing you are, but Google wants you to show them that you know your stuff by linking to other sites, by other sites linking to you, by you updating your website and posting regularly and sharing what you know via social media. If you do all of those things, you're saying to Google, I know my stuff. I know what I'm talking about. And they want you to show them that you do. Point number 8. Oh, I've just glossed over point number 8. Collaborate with other content creators. So other businesses that you can collaborate with, it's a great idea and one that I should probably do myself. So you could very well have a club of some sorts. We could all make an agreement here today that we're going to surround ourselves with people who are going to write blogs and we're going to get the content shared. But what you want to do is you want to surround yourself with like-minded businesses or business owners who are not in competition but are complementary to your business. Now, you'll agree that to write one blog a month on your site and one guest blog a month is doable. You can set the time aside to do that. But if you set up a little group chat where you let each other know of the blog posts that you've written and you all support each other by commenting on those blogs, that can make a huge difference. Not only would this give you accountability to writing your blogs, but it will also give you the guest that you need to be able to put on your own website as a guest blog, and would really help you get some information, get some momentum up there as well. I'm going to give you a little example. So let's say you're a sign writer and you specialize in shop front signage as your niche. It's a form of advertising, obviously, shop front signage. So you could surround yourself with someone who loves to brand cars. Okay, so this particular business owner does not do car branding, but they do shop front signage. And the other person might do car wraps, but they don't do shop front signage. So surrounding yourself with people like that, where when you come to a business, you can say, look, I can do your shop front sign, but have you thought about getting your car wrapped? Because I can recommend this person. It's cementing yourself as an expert in your field by surrounding yourself with these experts. And then you could get the guy who does the car wrap. Why doesn't he write a blog on your website? So then you can refer to that information as well. So we want different niches that are not in competition to each other, but are complementary and could refer business to each other. That's a really great way for being able to get momentum on your website when you have other people referring you and you're having links through from websites. Tip number 9 is search engine optimization, or SEO. Now, we've all heard of search engine optimization, but what does it mean when it comes to your website? I know this image because I really like this image because it really shows you the key elements in optimizing your website, but it's really sort of linked to SEO. So the majority of things that we've been talking about today all help with your search engine optimization. So we've got backlinks there, where we spoke about backlinks. Site architecture is important. So the one on the top right, it is important. You know, you want one page to come off another page if they kind of belong together, but not so much in the mobile phone days. Now that people are looking on their mobile phones, people just tend to go all over the place. But still, it does help. Content, getting those blogs, getting all of the information on each of your products, rather than just saying, here's X that you can buy, write an article on that product and put it in the product notes. Your ranking on your Google My Business, which is all attached. You know, if you've got like a 4 or 5 star ranking, all of that helps. Having lots of traffic going to your website. So if you're sending it out via your social media and your email and you're getting traffic there, that is telling Google that you must be some sort of reputable. On-page and off-page optimization. So making sure that everything that they can see on the page is optimized. Yes, I can do a list of all 10 tips at the end. I can go through each of those if I've got that there. If not, I'll flick through all of my slides, no problems. So on-page optimization is what the customer can see, and off-page is the things that they can't. So the page description they can't really see, but it helps with the optimization. Indexing keywords. Now, we haven't spoke about keywords yet, but indexing keywords is really important. So when someone has a problem that you solve, they want to come up, they want to do a search on Google. And if you want to come up as an article or someone that could actually help them answer that problem, then you're going to need to do some keyword research and make sure that your website is full of keywords, not over the top, but just full of keywords. If I was to give you an example, I'm going to give you an example of maybe, I give you an example of a plumber, because I know I've looked one of these up before, but what happens when somebody needs a plumber is they normally jump onto Google and they go they do two things. Plumber near me was a popular one. It still kind of is popular. But another one that they'll do is they'll go plumber and the actual suburb that they are looking for. So I'm in Beenleigh, which is halfway between Brisbane and the Gold Coast. So I'd go plumber Beenleigh. If I'm looking for a plumber in Beenleigh, so I'd go plumber Beenleigh. And Google is actually going to show me all the websites that have those words plumber Beenleigh in it. So particularly having those two words together is a great keyword to be able to have on your website. So if you're a service provider in a particular suburb, make sure that those words are getting onto that website. You could also say Gold Coast, Brisbane. You can sort of reach out a little bit if you want to as well. But having those keywords on your website will help with your Google search and your Google ranking as well. SEO can be complicated, but the fact is it's a key part of your website success. I do run another webinar, which is about every 8 weeks as well, which is normally changes names a little bit, but winning the SEO game, or, you know, getting creative with SEO. And there's a few other experts that do run webinars through this program on SEO as well. So for you to get a full understanding of search engine optimization, I really recommend that you attend one of those webinars or workshops. Tip number 10, we actually made it and I've got 8 minutes to go. It's a great day. Tip number 10 is image optimization. So we spoke a little bit about this earlier, but I'm going to start right at the beginning. I'm so tired of seeing images on people's website that are called image 6791. And how do I know this? Well, obviously I'm a bit of an expert in the field, but I can go to someone's website and I can right click on that image and say save. And when it brings up the file to save, it brings up image 56791. So I know that that's the name of the image that the person has put in there. Well, I wouldn't say put in there, but that's the name of the image. Why do we have this? We have this because people get their photos taken by professional photographers, and those professional photographers have their own filing system. And 56791 could mean many things to many people. It could mean the 5th month of something. It could mean the 5th month and customer 6791. It could just mean customer 56791. What I can tell you is it has absolutely nothing to do with your business. So before you upload any image to your website, I want you to rename it. So I don't mind if you rename it your business name, image 1, image 2, image 3, whatever tickles your fancy. But don't waste the opportunity to put the file name as your business name or as one of the keywords that you are trying to search for. Because when people do a Google search, they can flick over to images and you want them to see all the images, particularly if they're Googling your business address. If they Google Altitude Business Solutions and they go to images, I want them to see nothing but images from Altitude Business Solutions. I don't want them to see images from anywhere else. The only way someone is going to find an image that is named image 56791 on Google is if they Google image 56791. So make sure that you change your file name of all of your images before you upload them to your website. I can see a question there. Sorry, I didn't realize that question was in the question and answer thing. It just popped up in front of me as I was talking. So what format should you use for the file name and alt text? So they're two little bit different things there. And I think alt text is one of the things I'll talk about, but I'll bring it up now. It really doesn't matter. Just have a system. I tend to have Altitude Business Solutions and then whatever the photo is referring to, so that I have both of them there. So I just go, if the picture is in relation to Facebook, it'll be Altitude Business Solutions Facebook. That's just what I do. If it's an image of my logo only, it's just Altitude Business Solutions. But I try and get Altitude Business Solutions in there somehow. And then I just have a bit of a description at the end. Now, alt text is a little bit different. Thank you for bringing it up. And I apologize if this is going to come up in a couple of minutes in my slides, but alt text refers to the text that is going to be, how we use, Hey Google is a really good example. So people go, Hey Google, show me all of the articles on Facebook pages. So people are really starting to use voice now. Not only is it for people searching with voice, but obviously people with an eye disability where they can't see or partially can't see or something along those lines will use voice to text a lot as well. So that's where the alt text comes in. So the alt text really needs to explain the picture as it is. So in my alt text, if it is a picture of the Facebook logo, I'll put something like Altitude Business Solutions displays the Facebook logo. So I'm still getting my business name in there, but it's a little bit different. You got to think that's the way that it's going to be read out. So a little bit different there between alt text and the file name, but please change both. It does make a big difference to your SEO. So before you load your file up, make sure that you do that. The size of your image we've already spoken about. Please make sure that you're compressing them either via a free website or via a free website, or you can do it out of Canva now as well. You may notice if you've got a Canva Pro account, you can actually compress your images as you're downloading them. Really handy. You're asking the question again, can you use spaces? Yes, you can use spaces in each of those. It doesn't have to be all one word. You can use spaces in all of those. The bigger your image is, the longer it will take to load. So you want to compress it down so your images are loading nice and quickly. And then there's the alt text. There it is. I knew that there was going to be a slide for that we've just spoken about. So the alternative text is what will be read out for hearing impaired people or people that are using Hey Google or something like that when they are looking at those images. The file name is actually what you're uploading the file name. Now I'm just quickly, it's going to close this little window that I have here off. It's going to go back and give you a quick rundown of those 10 very quickly, because there was a lot of information there in a short period of time, wasn't there? 1 hour together, it's just not long enough sometimes. So tip number 1 was website optimization. Tip number 2 was blog writing, one of my absolute favorite ways. Tip number 3 was repurposing your content. So using your social media and email platforms to get people to your website. Tip number 4 was traffic strategy on blog commenting. Tip number 5 was sharing your content on social media. Tip number 6 was build an email list. That way you can send it out over your email. Tip number 7 was getting backlinks to your website to prove that you are reputable to Google. Tip number 8 was collaborate with other content creators, so people that are not in competition but complementary to what you offer. Tip number 9 was search engine optimization, which I recommend if you haven't attended one of the digital solutions webinars on this subject that you do so. And tip number 10 was image optimization. So that is it, 10 quick tips. Well, 10 tips delivered in an hour, not necessarily quickly. You've made the finish line. Hallelujah. So thank you so much for joining me today, guys. I really appreciate your time and the questions. I love it when people are interactive. Now, our next webinar that is coming up, I always do my webinars on a Wednesday. So I call it Webinar Wednesday because that makes it nice and easy. But my next webinar is coming up on the 9th of February. It's at 8 a.m. Western Australian time, 9:30 Northern Territory, and 10 o'clock Queensland. And it is 7 ways to use a CRM system to improve your business. I'll put the direct link to that in the chat now. So if you wanted to go and book in for that session, you can do. Otherwise, you can head to our website at altitudebusinesssolutions.com.au and go to our events page, and you'll see all the upcoming webinars and workshops that we are running. We do try where possible to give as much value as we possibly can, and we do pack a lot into the time that we have together. Now, through the Digital Solutions program, you do have options if you are in Queensland, Northern Territory, and Western Australia. And that is, you can have up to 7 hours of mentoring for just $44. So what does that mean? It means you can have 3 hours of expert time with someone like myself or somebody else more suited to what you're looking for or what you need for your business. You can have 3 hours of one-on-one digital time over Zoom, just like this, where we can talk about and help you through any problems or concerns that you might be having digitally with your business. And we can also recommend and guide you through 4 of the workshops or webinars that we think that you should attend. So of course, these webinars and workshops are free, but as part of that service for $44, you get 3 hours of one-on-one. And then we'll also say, we're going to book you in for these other webinars and workshops because that's really important to get that done. So if that is something that you would like to do, you can head to businessstation.com.au. And if you'd specifically like to book a session with myself, /Kerrie, that's Kerrie, and you'll be able to book in a session directly with me as well. So guys, thank you. We've got to the end. We did it in 1 hour and 1 minute. So hopefully that's given you a lot of tips and tricks for getting people to your website. If you've got a website already, you've done a great job building it. So get people there, build yourself as an expert in your field, and think about what you like to see on a website when you go it. Does your website tick all the boxes? You know, we don't just want a glorified page talking about how awesome you are and what you do. We need a little bit more grit than that. So if you'd like to connect with me over any of the social media channels, I'm a social media manager, so I'm on a lot of them. I'd love to connect with you all there, but I really want to see you go forth and grow your business digitally. So guys, thanks again and have a great day.